This is Texans TV. Texans Extra Points is sponsored by BHP and by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans, and by your Houston area Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
We are ready to rock at NRG Stadium. Watt gets him down this time. JJ with the sack. Rock and roll. Touchdown. Deshaun Watson.
It's time, friends. This is Texans Extra Points. My name's Drew Dougherty. I'm your host. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Thank you for spending part of your evening, day, morning with us right now because we've got Marc Vandermeer, voice of the Houston Texans, with us. And we've got a lot to get into, don't we?
We do, Drew. Ready to rock. Happy holidays.
Pointing at each other. Happy holidays to you. Let's get some news of the week out of the way. It's all part of the Red Diamond Iced Tea Quick Hits, and the Texans, with 3 games left, have been eliminated from playoff contention. That's not a fun thing to talk about. It's not a fun thing to be about, but nevertheless, the Texans are playing to win this final trio of games.
Not worried about that ending of that loss, and then we can't worry about last week against Chicago. We just got to continue to push forward and focus on the new opportunity, the new game that we have now.
For the most part in 2020, the Texans have been, knock on wood, pretty lucky when it comes to the injury bug. But that bug bit earlier this week as safety Justin Reed and defensive lineman Brandon Dunn were lost for the year.
Yeah, I mean, we've lost obviously a lot of guys throughout the whole year, whether it's starters, it's backups, it's injuries, it's suspensions, whatever it may be. There's obviously been a whole lot of depletion. So you got to find a way, go out there, next man up, step in, do their job, and try and win a football game.
On tap for the Texans on Sunday is a trip to Indianapolis and a date with the Indianapolis Colts. They saw this team 2 weeks ago and were on the doorstep of taking the go-ahead lead very, very late. So who are these Colts since then?
I hope that we will respond like we did 2 weeks ago and play a tremendous game. The big deal is the kind of week of practice we have and then the attitude that we have on Sunday as we go into the game.
So that's some of the stuff that's gone down this week, and Marc Vandermeer joining me now. Marc, I have a pen in my left hand, but let's pretend it's a pencil. How do I erase everything we saw last Sunday?
By playing well against the Colts, and I think having the Colts on the schedule right here, Drew, just gets everybody going. The antenna is up for this one, or R, if you want to go plural with antenna. The point is this: you played the Colts a couple of weeks ago, and you went toe-to-toe with them. Coulda, woulda, shoulda beat them. You're at the 2-yard line. We all know what happened after that. I think the Colts definitely are paying close attention to what could happen on Sunday because they know how talented the Texans are. They know they almost lost that game. So this should be a divisional war. I don't care what the records are, and the Texans have to play it that way. Anthony Weaver told me this week, alpha males. These guys want to win, whether it's ping pong or football or whatever, and let's hope they put their best foot forward on Sunday.
Yeah, and it's something that bears remembering because this is a week-to-week league, and while they did smell last Sunday, that's what, and I'm not just saying, I'm not talking out of turn, this is what the players and the coaches have said. While it was not a good effort against the Bears, things change. A lot changes, and this is a different set of circumstances.
Yeah, it was terrible against Chicago. Come on. But the offense in the second half, unable to get going, having the ball at the 1-inch line, unable to put it in. We talked about what went on with the sack of McCarron and Watson. Did he get in or not? All that stuff. Never mind that. The defense in the second half held the Bears to 2 field goals. I know the game plan changes a bit, but when I look at the last 2 second halves against the Colts, against the Bears, play like that early. Get off to a better start defensively, and the offense, they have to play better throughout because they've had, 3 halves in a row, 6 quarters, where they've only put the ball in the end zone once. That's not going to get it done, and they know it.
Yeah, and one of the problems with the offense has been protection for Deshaun Watson. He plays a role in that, as we've heard Romeo Cornell discuss. However much he plays this season and into the next, portion of his career, protection is at a premium for him, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt. Look, they have not run the ball well this year, and I think that's a huge part of what's going on in the protection department and the lack of productivity department with this offense. For Deshaun Watson, he has to pay better attention to not getting hurt. Now, I talked to him a couple of weeks ago on a Verizon Up call, and he said, look, I'm a lot better than I was, but I think there's still some improvement to be made there. Yet, in his defense, Drew, he's trying to make plays.
Yeah.
You know, they have not a lot of options here. Your top 4 receivers, the way this whole offense was designed, they're all gone. And Cooks is going to come back, hopefully, and make an impression or make an impact, and I think he will. But the thing is, you're dealing with a deck that's just missing a lot of cards the way you put this whole thing together to begin with. So let's see if they can continue to improve with what they've got to work with on the table here.
Yeah, we got to talk about the other side of the issue, too. We're pointing out these things about Deshaun Watson that might need to improve.
Right.
He's done all of this and, put in a Pro Bowl campaign despite the limitations of this offense. He's been outstanding. How do you accentuate that? Because you talk about maybe Cooks comes back, but he's done great things with guys further down the depth chart like Kiki QT and Chad Hansen, who clearly can play.
Well, ask the Colts, ask the Patriots, even ask anybody that the Texans have lost to. They know how good Deshaun Watson is. He's playing better than he's ever played. He just doesn't have everything working very well around him. And the running game, I hate to go back to that, but that's the one thing I see that's really missing. Because pass pro, everything would be better if you were running the ball better with the running backs. I'm going to talk about Duke Johnson later, but yeah, I think Watson's playing great. Second in the league in throwing the football, yardage-wise, and he's third all-time in quarterback rating. All-time third in quarterback rating. It's not the be-all, end-all stat, but it is a big one, and it says a lot about his ability.
Earlier you mentioned maybe being quicker with the ball or as far as protecting himself, but one of the things he's done so well this season has spread the ball around. And you hear that and you think, oh, well, he's just checking down. Maybe he has at times, but boy, he's been deadly as far as getting deep chunk plays.
No doubt about it. Look at the yards per play number. Look at what Chad Hansen's been able to do. Look at what Kiki's been able to do. Cooks, obviously, Fuller before he was gone. Look, anybody who's out there. And I think that in this game, if you can get the tight ends more involved somehow, get more production out of them, that's only going to help the equation. But the reason why we focus on Deshaun so much, he touches the ball on every play. And I don't want to say he's all they got. That's not fair to the rest of the players on this offensive unit. But he's the best player they have. And I think he feels a tremendous responsibility for the team to produce more and to carry the load for the entire squad. So obviously we're focusing on him a lot.
All right, Mark, you and I, we're buddies. You watching out there, I think I'm your buddy, hopefully, in a sense. But one guy who is truly a buddy is Buddy Howell, and Buddy carried the rock a bunch in the second half last Sunday. He's been a fantastic special teamer for the Texans since he got here in 2018. John Harris, though, is looking at his run skills here in the Telestrator.
Welcome to Texas Telestrator, presented by BMW. I am your host, John Harris, and I want to take a look at a running back that popped on the screen on Sunday against the Bears. That's Buddy Howell. And take a look at how the Texans were able to use him against the Chicago Bears. Let's go to the surface presented by Microsoft, and we can take a look at what Buddy does here. And it's a pretty advantageous thing for the Texans to run the ball, and you can see that here. This turns into basically this six-man against six-man box because they're playing nickel against the Texans' 11 personnel with 3 wide receivers. So it turns into a 6-on-6. And the Texans will run inside zone and pick up nice 6 yards. Buddy hitting the hole, and away you go. That's one of the things I like about Buddy. Let's get to the end zone shot. Here we go. All right, now we're going to take a look at it from this angle and boil it down even further. I said it was 6-on-6, but essentially it turns into 4-on-4, really, because Laramie's going to turn out here, Fells is going to turn out here, and we're just going to run a little inside zone here. That's all we're going to do. Now, what I like about Buddy is he's going to get the ball to shotgun, right? Let me see if I can pause it right there. That left foot, see that left foot right there? That's what you want from a running back. You want that one cut, plant the foot in the ground, and go. And what Buddy sees is Zach on the block here, Titus about to make that block, and he knows head in this direction and then decide there or there. And he does a good job of staying with it. And once he sees Titus set up that block, all right, watch Titus right there. Once he sees Titus with leverage there, he knows hit it as fast as you can up the field. Look, it may not be a 40-yard run, but this guy's not in great position to tackle me. I got Titus with good leverage there. Put that foot in the ground and go. Then once you go, boom, hit the Jets. Now, he hits the Jets. That turns into a 5-yard gain and gives the Texans an opportunity on the next down to be 2nd and 4. And that's exactly where you want to be as a play caller. 2nd and 4, man, I can do a lot with 2nd and 4. And you get there with decisive running. Good job by the offensive line to just get a hat on a hat and then let a decisive north-south running back go north-south to pick up some good yardage on first down.
Rivers in the gun. Here's the snap. Rivers with a little time. Here comes Watt, and Watt sacks Rivers. JJ brings him down in Colts territory.
Last time Texans and Colts linked up, J.J. Watt, well, he got a sack of Phillip Rivers. He sacked Phillip Rivers before in his career. He also had 5 tackles. He's pretty good. This is your next-gen stat, powered by AWS. Look at that stuff. J.J. can get after the quarterback. And Marc Vandermeer, voice of the Houston Texans, you can get after some opinions here on Twitter, elsewhere, but we've got opinions on the defense. This is a banged-up secondary. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. How do the Texans limit damage, from here on out, with 2 of their marquee guys at the back end, and safety Justin Reed and cornerback Bradley Roby not around?
It's tough. I think Anthony Weaver, get creative. He is creative. Get even more creative. Use that a lot. These DB blitzes have been effective. Sometimes sending Terrell Adams to the quarterback, or maybe Cunningham if you have to. I don't know how you handle it, but you're going to have to send extra people. Watt is not enough, and you're not getting enough from the other guys right now. So you're going to have to find a way to get the pass rush done that way. Last time against Rivers in the second half, they kept Phillip Rivers off balance. He made some bad throws or incomplete throws just because, hey, they blitzed him or they just got him off his mark. They gave him something that he wasn't sure he was going to see. You have to continue to do that. If you just play some base kind of stuff against the Colts, you're going to go down. And I'm saying that, Drew, even if you get a lead in this game, you have to continue to put the pedal to the metal creativity-wise on defense. I hate to say it's the only way they can get it done at this point, but it's one of the only ways. And look, with my eyes, I can see it. When they've been creative getting after quarterbacks with these DBs and everything, whatever else they're throwing in that way into the backfield, they're better. Yeah. They are just better. Unless Watt's making some sort of heroic play or one of the other guys, Whitney, it's just not happening often enough, so you have to be creative.
Well, you bring up a very good point there. So much of this season, the Texans have been playing from behind. Yeah. So, in turn, that puts the defense at a massive disadvantage. And, on a microcosm, it's kind of one of those seasons you can't put an asterisk by it, but you wonder, what would it have looked like for J.J. Watt had the Texans been playing even or been playing with leads, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I think Watt's having a terrific campaign. I mean, Watt is not exactly who he was in 2014, let's be honest. It's year 10 for JJ, but you're getting a lot of JJ. I mean, you're right. If you had leads, like 2 touchdown leads in the second half, can you imagine what Watt would be doing in obvious passing situations all throughout the second half of the opponent? The numbers, you could at least double or triple whatever he's getting right now, and maybe more. That's what you're looking at in JJ, or in all the pass rushers, really, much more productivity. Instead, they've been down. They give up an early touchdown. All of a sudden, you're down 7-0. And look, they've overcome that a few times this year. Great. They've played well. Even the Colts game, they lost that game. But look, they were down 24-20 at the half. They pitched a shutout in the second half on the defensive side of the ball. Let's see more of that, but early, and hopefully see the offense get off to a better start. They've had some moments in the first half, no doubt about it. First drive, can we get one of those, please? Something like that at Indy. Look, I know we're talking about these next 3 games, but I really believe seeing the Colts all week long, all on the bulletin board, I'll use that symbolically. Yeah, that's an old school thing. On the video board.
Millennials out there, do you know what a bulletin board is?
Do you remember chalk and the eraser? And anyway, I think if you see that Colts logo all week long, you're going to face them. You are ready to go for this matchup on Sunday.
Yeah, familiarity with those foes, Mark. And speaking of familiarity, let's do the Texans trivia question, which is the first time the Texans beat the Colts in Indianapolis. 2015 was the year. Who played quarterback for the Texans? We'll have that answer later on.
Weeden gets the snap. Weeden rolling out to the right. Hits Strong. Strong across the 5. Strong to the end zone. He dives in! The Texans take the lead!
And anytime you have a guy with the speed of Strong going against the linebacker, you're going to take that battle every time.
Oh, that was a fun one. Jalen Strong getting in the end zone. The Texans defense holds the line, and Houston left Indianapolis with a victory at Lucas Oil Stadium. It was their first victory at that stadium. First victory at the RCA Dome before that. They hadn't won there, so that was a fun one back in 2015. Drew Dougherty, Texans Extra Points, coming at you from the Ford Studios with the guy who made that call and has made every call in team history, voice of the Texans, Marc Vandermeer. How about Phillip Rivers? He showed us in the last game the Texans played that he can get gotten to. That's not good grammar, I know.
Yeah.
And I know my English teachers are cringing if they hear that, but he is susceptible despite everything that goes on between his ears, which is a whole heck of a lot.
You've heard of poetic license. There's sports talk license as well, Drew. Rivers, look, he's not a young man anymore. We all know this. Has the toe problem. But he's won the last couple of games against the Texans. He looked shaky in the second half, but the Colts got the win, so give that to them. Against the Raiders, threw it 28 times. Guess what? They ran for over 200. So with Rivers, maybe you have a shot to do that. I just think as long as Jonathan Taylor and Naheem Hines are running the ball well, and T.Y. Hilton's back, by the way. I mean, he's really making plays lately, and the defense plays well enough. Rivers can be fine. They could go to the Super Bowl with Rivers as long as everything else is working for them.
You just brought up T.Y. Hilton, and if there were a Mount Rushmore of Texans villains in franchise history, T.Y. Hilton would be the face on at least two of those rocks, okay? I mean, he's not just one rock. How do you hope to contain this guy when, like we said earlier, no Bradley Roby and Justin Reed is now out?
Yeah, and Hilton had the touchdown against Houston, had a couple last week against the Raiders. He's feeling better, right? And I talked about running game helping Rivers. Well, running game helps Hilton, right? Because you got to come up and stop Jonathan Taylor, who's really getting better in his rookie year as the games go on here. And then Hilton all of a sudden has single coverage, and he's just blowing by people. And that's what you have to worry about. Do you zone him? Do you double him, bracket him? They've got other guys who can beat you too. So that's a big issue for this Texans defense. I think you have to find a way to pressure Rivers. I'll go back to that. Get creative with the blitzing. Get the DBs after Rivers. Just give him something else to think about. So he's just chucking the ball downfield and hoping that Hilton runs underneath it. Maybe you can get a Texans defensive back to break it up or do something, because I think it's very tough to contain him.
Okay, with all that in mind, it's time for our Gatorade players to watch. Who is your Texan to watch against Indianapolis, Mark?
Duke Johnson.
Okay.
Duke Johnson, I think, is an underappreciated player. He came into the league in 2015. Drew, he's top 5 in just about every major receiving running back category. He's a tremendous threat as a pass catcher. I think Duke Johnson is a valuable weapon, and they'll look for ways to use him against Indianapolis to be effective and hopefully get into the end zone more often than not.
I like it. That's a good one. You've got Duke. You, the fans, when we asked you on Twitter earlier in the week, you had Tyrell Adams, the inside linebacker, and that's a great choice. Nobody has more tackles in the NFL since week 5 this season than that guy. So I like it. Keep it up, TY or TA from GA is what he likes to call himself. As for me, I'm going to go with Kiki QT. That's not very original, but that guy has been excellent against Indianapolis in his brief career. Had 141 yards 2 weeks ago. Let's see him do it again. Stay after him. Stay roasting him, Kiki. All right, we'll be back with keys to a victory after this break.
Texans Extra Points has been sponsored by BHP and by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans, by Amagi Bank, official business bank of the Houston Texans, and by Jameson. Tailgate like a Texan with Jameson Irish Whiskey.
Earlier in the show, we asked you, when the Texans won their first game at Indianapolis, which was 2015, who played quarterback? If you said TJ Yates, you were right. If you said Brandon Weeden, you were right. But you had to say them together to be really right, because Yates started, got injured, Weeden came in, and quarterbacked the Texans to their first. That was a fun game. It was just a fun game, and it had been a long time coming, especially for you.
That might be my favorite win ever. I'm not saying it's the best win, but it might be my favorite because of all the years. I mean, you started playing in 2002. It took you till 2015 to beat the Colts up there, but you've won 3 of the last 5 up there. Let's see if they can make it 4 of 6.
I would love that, because that would put Indianapolis in a world of hurt. All right, how do you make that happen? FCCU, keys to a victory for the Texans. 2. What are they, Mark?
Well, I talked about getting after Phillip Rivers with extra people after the quarterback in different ways. And I think that's very important to get after Rivers and not go with the 4-man rush for the majority of the time. Find a way to send extra people. I know that makes you vulnerable on the back end, but you got to find a way to do it. Also, I think offensively, look, we talk about run the ball better all the time, easier said than done. How about the short passing game? You know, Watson's going to go deep. We know this. It's death and taxes. He's going to look for the big play. He will find the big play, but he's got to look for short, easy, 5 yards here, 6 yards there kind of passes because the Texans don't run it the way they've wanted to. So get that going, move the sticks, hold on to the ball, keep that Colts offense with Jonathan Taylor going so well right now on the sideline. And we mentioned T.Y. I like him watching the game rather than in the game.
The past few, and those are good points, I like those keys. The past few years for the Texans, scoring on the very first offensive possession, that's been like an oasis or a desert. And when you've scored, it's been an oasis. It has been few and far between. Let's get a touchdown on that first possession, and let's maybe stop them, get a 3 and out when you're on defense to get things going, so that way you can tee off on defense and really maybe make Rivers make a mistake. And then I've stayed away from saying this all year long as opposed to years past, but get more takeaways than you do turnovers. I mean, the Texans haven't turned the ball over, but like you alluded to earlier in the show, dead last in the NFL as far as getting the ball away from the opponent. You got to do more of that. You just got to, because you're playing at a disadvantage defensively with all the guys that aren't there and what's been going on. I mean, that goes a long way towards a win, doesn't it?
You're on the road, send an early message that you're here to win this game, and that's going to help.
All right, hey, you help all the time. I appreciate you coming on the show.
My pleasure.
Good stuff as always. Merry Christmas to you and the family.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you and your family. We'll be back again before Santa comes down the chimney next week, though. Until then, we appreciate you watching. We'll be back same time, same place, and go Texans. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.